So the other day I asked and shared on LinkedIn in school, is preventative maintenance critical control? And two things I did deliberately. One, I didn't put my view on the world. And two, it was a deliberate, I won't say controversial question, but it's one that we kind of go back and forwards with depending on people's perspectives, and really interested to see where people are at and what thinking is, and I'm always curious to learn as well. So the purpose of this short thing is I'll give you my flavour on it, and for me it's a two-part answer. One is no, and one it still has a level of importance which I'll unpack. So if I dive into the detail, and if I think about a definition of a control, so we've probably seen before, it's either an act, object, or a system. People might be familiar with that term. So potentially preventative maintenance could fall in the technological system. However, the bit where it doesn't pass the test for my mind, is around specific, measurable, and auditable. Saying preventative maintenance is so big and so broad, it doesn't pass that test, and therefore, in terms of being a control, doesn't pass the test, and then we don't even consider it as a critical control. So I haven't even bothered about the critical control breakdown. So that's the bit where it doesn't pass the test, just to keep replaying that back. And then overlaid against that, and you may or may not be familiar with this, if we start thinking about these strategies that we've traditionally called controls, there's this, I believe it's a very good, effective model to visualize, where we can start to separate, well, what is a true control? So those things that would directly prevent or mitigate an unwanted event, and is specific, measurable, and auditable. So that's like the left-hand side. Versus what are those things that are support activities that maximize the health or minimize the erosion of a control? And we've got some stuff there, and verification activities, which are, checking on controls, are controls there. And so for my mind, maintenance as a collective falls into this area of support activity. So there's it's not specific, measurable, and auditable, so it doesn't meet the control test, and it's designed to maximize the health of a control. So let's say brakes. Well, maintenance helps the brakes, but the control is the brakes in and of themselves, as an example, or choose your bit on the equipment. So that's a generalization. I'm not going to, there's probably lots of minutiae examples where you could say, well, hang on, this maintenance plus this means that a control. Yep, absolutely. There's probably some of those things. But if I'm thinking about it at the system level, to me, generally, maintenance, similar as like training and education, falls in support activity, isn't a control, and therefore doesn't pass the test of a critical control. Having said that, then there's another aspect where I believe that maintenance is a foundation system which helps the greater critical risk management framework, and also helps on cost control, damage minimization, all that sort of stuff. So you might have seen a little bit of this before. So we're in the traditional critical risk management sense, where we think about our critical risks and we go from sort of bow tie analysis and follow the chain through to critical controls, performance standards, and then verifications. So think about those vertical slices. Then I see, in my belief, then there's these horizontal slices, which are these foundation systems. You call them principal control systems. You could call them, foundation systems, whatever you want, that support across all of our critical risks, or a majority of our critical risks. So for me, preventive maintenance, can fall in asset management. Are they one and the same? Are they different? If they're different, maybe you can have that as a line. But we know that a robust preventative maintenance program will help the management of our critical risks. And the flip side is a ineffective preventative maintenance program or system can liberate causes of unwanted events being realized. So, I don't know, for example, we didn't maintain the truck, and then we had a fire on the truck, or we had a brake failure, and we can trace it back. So we can have some failures of these systems can lead to some of these unwanted events being realized. So to me then, just to replay this back, I'm probably going around in circles a little bit, is I talk to the idea that yes, we need to have critical risk management for these things. We also need to have these principal control management systems in place, and we need to have assurance and standards that they're in place. And then also as part of our governance, yes, we want to go vertically, we want to go horizontally, but then also look at the intersection of those aspects as well. So that's my take on, is preventative maintenance a critical control? Really interested in what other people have to say. I'm always interested to learn, and thanks for those that have contributed and put forward their 2 cents. Chat to you later. Bye-bye.